Hi guys, Jordan from P&B Campers. Just going to do your handover video on your WildAx. So we start under the bonnet. Got your engine battery on the left hand side just here, which looks like a reasonably new Varta battery, so that's the top of the range. Brake fluid attached to the servo just down the back at the top. Your engine oil gets topped up through here, and your engine oil dipstick is this green one just down here at the very front. Power steering fluid is this reservoir at the very front here. You can see the levels at the correct place. You can also top up your engine oil through this cap just here if you wanted to, but to be honest, it's just as easy to go in through the proper one at the top of the engine there, but it's down to you. You've got your engine coolant over here at this top right hand side. You can see again the engine's cold at the moment and the reading is absolutely perfect there between the minimum and maximum line. Air filter sits inside this box just here. Washer fluid gets topped up through this reservoir just here on the right. You got a couple of fuses and relays behind here, and this is your main sort of fuse box underneath here. You see there, fuse and relay box. But other than that, it's all pretty straightforward. We don't tend to get any issues at all with any of these engines because they're so straightforward. Really, there's nothing technical about them. Your diesel filling point is this one just here on the passenger side. Open it up by pushing on the left hand side of the actual thing there, and then you need your ignition key to go in there to open that up. Not really a huge amount to show you inside the passenger door, to be honest, but I will show you a few bits in the cab when we get round to it. These two vents just here are your fridge vents, so if you had the fridge lit up on gas, you'd be able to feel a little bit of warm air coming out through this top right hand side just here. Freshwater inlet is this one just here, so if you want to fill up your freshwater tank, that's the one you want to go to just there. And if I just have a little look underneath, nothing there just yet. So we're going to the back doors. A couple of little bits underneath here, but again, still not a huge amount to show you. Over on the right hand side here, you've got your sort of electrical components. The box on the very left hand side is your main trip switch. So if your power from your hookup cable wasn't working at all, you can check that just in there, make sure it's actually still lit. Not still lit, still sort of in the upright position. Fuse box is the one in the middle, and your battery charger for when you're on hookup is on the right hand side. So all your electrical bits in there are nice and simple, just there on the right. It's nothing sort of technical compared to any others. They're all exactly the same kind of layout with the electrical side of things, so that's all nice and straightforward. You've got your Propex heating just here. So, well, this is the vent for it anyway, so if you wanted to double check that was definitely lit, you can do that from holding your hand over like this. But again, to be honest, I'll show you how to use it on the inside, and you'll notice the hot air coming out pretty much straight away when you start using it, so it's all pretty simple. Your hookup point is this one just here, so if you want to plug your hookup cable into the van, you can do that from that. That'll basically give you access to your 240 volt sockets inside the van. It'll also switch your battery charger straight on and keep your ledger battery topped up at all times. Your toilet cassette locker is this one just here. So to actually get this to come out, you lift up on this little tab at the bottom and then pull the entire thing towards you. When you're emptying it out, you empty out from here, but when you're emptying it out, you need to hold down this little yellow button at the back, and it's basically an air pressure release valve, and that'll make everything much easier. Pop these bits away like that, and there is a key on your key ring to lock that up with, and I'll just point out to you that it's this one here. So key in, turn it, pull it out, and that's locked up. Just notice that down the bottom you've got a couple of bits. So you've got your gas regulator and bits and pieces there for your underslung gas tank. So if you wanted to switch the gas bottle off, you can take this little cover off, and there's like an isolator inside there to turn your gas bottle off. And also I think you've got a wastewater drain. So the wastewater will be the one at the back, I believe, and your fresh at the front there. So if you want to drain your water tanks off, you can go to there for those. in the cab itself, again, quite straightforward because they're pretty straightforward vehicles. 5-speed manual gearbox. The only thing to sort of point out to you is that you've got reverse, which is over and up to the top left there, like that. And you will need to lift this little lever up here to be able to get that over up there to find reverse. Your wing mirror adjustments are these ones just here. So if you want to adjust any of your wing mirrors, so you've got top right, bottom right, and then you basically just move this around like a little joystick, depending on where you want to move it. Singled in Panasonic head unit just there. So again, I don't really know exactly what that does or what it has, but I can see it's got CD player there. Pretty straightforward, to be honest. You have radio and CD for definite. Yeah, so should all work exactly how it should. The heated rear window button there, obviously that won't work because the original rear window is gone because it's not a van anymore, it's a motorhome. Hazard lights, these ones just here in the middle, and fog light just there to the right of that. All of the bits underneath are all just your sort of like fan heater controls. Basically it's all engine related, so if your engine was running and you're up to temperature, you'd be able to use these just like in any sort of other car. Turn your lights on is side lights, main beam just there on the left hand side, obviously indicators there as well, and you've also got your washers and wipers on the right. You have got a little gas level indicator down here, so that's your underslung gas tank level indicator, and just in case you ever needed to, your OBD reader for this van is just behind here. So you just take these two screws out. They don't actually come all the way out, they just stop basically when they're loose, and then you'll see just up here is your OBD reader, just in case you ever needed to get to that. Right, so in the back end of the van, I'll start from over here because it's probably the most logical way to do it. You've got a CBE control panel just here, so I'll just show you where we are. We're just at the very back of the van on the bed. So to sort of go ahead and start turning on your main bits and pieces, you want to turn this switch on here and then the one next to it as well. So once you've done that, you'll have access to using all of your lights around the van. These two switches here do bits and pieces like that as well, so they do your lights under there. But to be honest, you can go around and work out which ones do what and which ones you like and which ones you don't like, etc. So those two switches up there turn everything on, as well as your lights. This one down the bottom here turns the power to your pump, so as soon as you turn that button on there, you'll be able to pour your hot water through here through the tap. When you want to use your hot water, it's really important to, if I just show you, if you want to heat your water up, pump goes on, and then just pull your tap over to the hot side. And then basically what that does is it proves to you that you have got water in your boiler. All right, if that makes sense. Once you've done that and the pump turns itself off, that is basically just proof that your boiler is full of water. If you don't do that, then essentially your boiler, there's no way really of knowing if it is full or not. So if you want to use that, then the hot water, it's a Malaga heater. So basically it's as simple as pushing it to the left to light it up and heat the water up via the gas, or pushing it to the right to use gas and electric. So at the moment I've only got the gas on, so I'll go left. The Malaga heater will basically just light up, and then after a certain amount of time you'll have hot water at the tap. So it's, it is as simple as that. If you had access to gas and hookup, then obviously, like I say, you can push it to the right if you want to, but otherwise just leave it on the gas if you don't have that hookup plugged in. Obviously that needs to be switched off before you start driving. So just for example, if I was going to pack up the van, I'd switch that off like that so that your little red light goes out. You've also got here on the left hand side little level indicators. So if I press the top button there, it's a little bit dim, you can't actually really see it on the video, but if you press the top button there, it shows you your battery level for your engine battery. If you press the middle button there, it shows you your battery level for the leisure battery, and if you press the bottom button, it tells you how much water you've got in your fresh tank. So at the moment it's empty, basically. All right, so that's your sort of really simple CBE control panel. Also, sorry about the shaky camera, I can't really help it because I'm sat at a really funny angle on the bed. So, but yeah, it's all pretty straightforward. Turn your pump switch off if you're not going to be using it at all, just to stop any kind of leaks or anything like that. Not that there is any leaks, I'm just saying, you know, if you leave your pump switch on for too long, it's possible that it will run, and you know, basically if you leave the pump switch on, there's constant pressure everywhere, even if you're not using the van. So yeah, so that's your sink and tap there, with your Malaga heater for the hot water over there on the left hand side. If you want to light either of these gas burners up, you can literally push and turn like any household cooker whilst pressing down on this little piezo igniter. So when you push that down, it sparks and it lights up. So you need to push in and round to the left on either side whilst pressing down on these igniters, and then you'll get flame on straight away. So it's all pretty simple stuff. Make sure that you don't, you have got a little symbol there saying don't put it down when the flame's on, but also don't put this down straight after turning either of these off. If you imagine cool air on the top, hot air, boiling hot air from underneath, these they just shatter. They've got a little film on there so that they won't literally just go everywhere, but I've seen it plenty of times where these tops shatter. Same with the ovens. Sometimes if you close the oven doors up after too soon after using the grill, same kind of thing can happen. So talking of that, just underneath here is your grill. So it's exactly the same kind of sort of layout for lighting it up. It is literally as simple as exactly the same up here. Push in and round to the left to actually get the gas to come through the grill burner, whilst pushing down on your piezo igniter. Everything in this van is all pretty straightforward. That's why they've used the piezo igniters for everything. I've just noticed the fridge has got the same thing. The reason they've done that is just for simplicity, really. If you have electric ignitions on everything, it's more than likely that one of them is going to sort of play up at some point. Whereas with this, it's quite literally just a case of pushing the button to make the spark yourself. So it can't really go too far wrong. So that's that. Obviously the grill door needs to be open if you want to use the grill. But that's common knowledge, really. It's the same as any household grill as well. Nothing to show you in there apart from the bottom of the sink. This big door here just gives you access to the underneath of the bed there if you wanted to, if you needed it. There you go, that's what I was trying to find. So your gas isolated taps are these ones just here. Your water pump is also up there, but this is the most important part, really. They haven't actually got any sort of diagrams on them, but you can kind of go through and work it out. If you were worried about an individual appliance, you can isolate the gas just from here, just literally by turning these little red dials here 90 degrees, so they're sort of horizontal rather than vertical. So if you thought there was a problem with any of your appliances, you were worried about something leaking gas or whatever, you can isolate them from here. But I showed you on the outside how you can get to where you can turn your gas bottle off on the off side there. So if you did think there was any issues with something, you can turn the gas off from there anyway. So I wouldn't worry about those too much. And that cupboard there is just storage. Okay, so what else have we got? Bathroom is actually a pretty decent size. I mean, I know it's small because it's a motorhome, but for a van conversion, this bathroom is actually a pretty decent size. You've got your window up here, which basically just turns and opens like that, and back the other way to close her up. Light just over there. Your shower is sort of like a 2-in-1 thing with the sink, so you basically just pull it out like that, keep going as far as you need to, and then pop that in there. So that's how you use your shower. I'll leave that like that so you can see it like that. So that's, I'm not going to show you how that works because that's simple stuff, but there you go. Toilet cassette. If you want to use your flush fluid, you need to have a little bit of water in your fresh water tank because you've got a fresh water flush. So push the button there, flush fluid pumps around. Close your lid and then open the little flap over here. So that opens it and lets it go into the cassette. and then close it back over. You need to make sure that you close it back over after you've emptied it, because otherwise you won't be able to take the cassette out from outside. It kind of like locks itself in place when it's open. So that's your bathroom. Pretty simple. You've got plenty of lights in here, by the way. You know, there's lights dotted around all over the place. So yeah, that's that. So the fridge works in 3 different ways. I'll just switch these 2 off just so I can show you how it works. So if you wanted to light the fridge up on gas, which is probably the quickest way to get the fridge cold, it's as simple as, let me show you. So first off, you've got a little sort of peephole down here. So that's your sort of hole for looking in and making sure that your gas is definitely lit. All you have to do to actually get it to light up is turn this dial around to the left and then push in on that whilst pressing down on this piezo igniter. All right, so I'll see if I can do it with one hand. Can't tell if that's... Yeah, it is lit actually. You see the little blue flame down the hole there? Just about. So at the moment I'm still holding down on the button, and all you need to do is keep your eye on that little flame, let go of the button, which I've let go of it now, and then keep your eye on it for a little minute, just make sure that it stays on. But there you go. So now that I've checked it for that long, that's going to be fine. That's not going to go out. So it is literally as simple as that. So once you've done that, you just leave that how it is, like there, and that's your fridge lit up on gas. If you want to turn it off, just literally turn it back around to the right so that this little circle bit is facing the triangle. So that's how you light it up on gas. If you're putting warm food into here, it will take hours and hours for it to actually get cold on gas. It takes about, well, at least a couple of hours anyway to start working on gas, but if you fill it up with warm stuff, then it's going to take much longer. The idea, or the best bet really, is if you can fill it up with things straight from your fridge at home, then it's a lot better, because it doesn't have to get everything cold inside of it. Obviously that's not always possible, so they do work, but you know, they just take a long time to actually get cold. So my advice to you would be, if you're going to go away on holiday one day, to get the fridge cold first the night before, either via the gas or this electric hookup switch. So like leave it on overnight, and then by the time you get to it in the morning to leave, you'll be able to switch over to your 12-volt switch just here, and then when you get to where you're going, everything will be nice and cold. So that's just my sort of advice to you. So yeah, so that's how you use it on gas. If you had an electric hookup plugged in, you can turn this up to maximum and then just press your green switches here, and then basically that just gets the element in the back of the fridge nice and hot, and then cools the fridge down. So if you want to use your electric hookup, it's really nice and simple. You just literally press the green button on, and once the fridge is already cold, and the reason I say this is because the 12-volt switch just here won't get the fridge cold on its own. It only holds temperature. But once your fridge is already cold and you want to leave and start driving, you want to just switch over to this 12-volt one here. So you absolutely cannot drive with your gas on your fridge. Definitely not. So before you start driving, you need to switch it off, turn it on your red switch just here. It does tell you down here, you've got a little battery symbol and then a hookup symbol over here. So you've got battery and then hookup. So I hope that makes sense, but that's off. So as long as all of these buttons are off and this is facing to the right, towards the front, you're good. So in the wardrobe, just got all of your paperwork with the van. So if you want to go through and sort of have a little read about any of the appliances, you can do so from there. And the last appliance I need to show you is this, your Propex Heating. So it's pretty simple. You've literally just got push it onto the right and you just get air pumping out through this vent. You push it to the left, the actual Propex heater will light up and it will start pumping out hot air from those vents just there. Well, it's only one of the vents. This vent just here sucks the air in, this vent here blows the air out. Right, so after about sort of 20-30 seconds or so, the heating will start to kick in, and it's gas heating, so it's not diesel or anything like that, or electric. It's just gas only. But yeah, after about a few minutes or so, you'll feel nice warm air coming out through that right hand vent, and that's it. That's how your heating works. Simple as that. If you want to turn it off, back to the middle. The fan will run on like that for 30 seconds or so, I think. But yeah, that's about it. I heard that you're coming back for the part for your step, so I won't go through that. But yeah, so I'm not sure that there's anything else really that I can show you. I've shown you the control panel and the lights and things like that. If you're going to sort of get out of the van and leave it, all you need to do really is just switch these two buttons off, and that'll turn the power off to everything in the van. Make sure that your lights are switched off anyway, because it's always handy when you turn the lights back on, the switch is back on here, you can sort of go around and sort of make it your own every time. Or if you find it easier, if you sort of find out which lights you do and you don't like, just leave them on, and then when you switch these buttons off, they'll all turn off anyway. Obviously these 3.240 volt switches just here, like any household one, these will only work when your hookup is plugged in. And also, just sort of a bit of a tip almost, if you want to keep your leisure battery topped up and stop it from running out and sort of dying all the time, you need to make sure that you either take it for a nice long drive every now and again, or have a hookup plugged into it quite often. If you leave the battery, it's just like any engine battery as well. If you don't start a car for weeks and weeks on end, your battery will die. Not because there's something wrong with the battery, but because you've left it without any charge going into it. So if you don't plug a hookup into the van, or don't take it for a drive for a little bit, then the battery will die. So make sure that you have access to a hookup cable, or take it for a long drive every now and again at the very least, just to give it all a good sort of run up and charge up. But otherwise, it's all pretty straightforward in the van. There's not a huge amount to show you, reason being that it's so straightforward. Everything in here works. So yeah, I think I've pretty much shown you everything I can on the van, but if you think there's anything I've missed out or anything you want showing again, just let us know. But otherwise, we look forward to seeing you soon to collect your van. Thanks very much.